Namaskar, viewers, and welcome to this exciting new episode of Sathology, Debunking Mythology. Today we are discussing about Raja Bhoj, King Bhoj, who very famous is stories are there, Raja Bhoj and Ganguteli. And so we are going to discuss he was uh, as a king, he was known for his work in architecture. So we are also going to show one of the world's tallest shivling, 27 feet. So without delay, we have a very exciting guest, Padma Shri KK Mohammed from India. And he has joined us. You have loved his shows. He has joined us to show us the restoration work on that. Before that, he's also going to tell us the story and the character and the work of Raja Bhoj. So without delay, let's go to Shri KK Mohammed. Yeah, welcome, KK Mohammed ji.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. So today we are going to speak about Raja Bhoj, a very unusual character in the history of India. You have great kings like Ashoka, Vikramaditya, Samudragupta, many kings like Akbar, Shah Jahan. But you rarely find a man who is an architect, who is a town planner, who is a man of sculpture, who is a man of iconography, iconometry. So you are going to meet today that kind of personality, and he himself was a great king also. That is Raja Bhoj. So all the qualities of a king has rolled, this one, many qualities have rolled into this great man. And he rules in 1000 or 1010. There is a slight controversy about his timing. And it was at that time Muhammad Ghazni had encroached into India. He had destroyed our temple, Somnath, the great Somnath temple, and many other temples. It was at that time this man, he came up, and he also, he was mainly in Madhya Pradesh, that is the Malwa region. Malwa region means up to Sanchi and Vidisha, this will be included in that one, and a part of Gujarat also. And this man, he constructed this great temple. He was a great Shiva worshipper. And this is the tallest Shivlinga you have in the whole world. Because the height of it is 27 feet, almost a kind of 3-storied building. That is the height of it. With only 3 stones. That is the beauty of this one. And then you have a huge temple. So the problem with this temple was, while the construction was going on, he was a great mathematician also, and a great architect also. So he had calculated the weight of the temple also, and especially the superstructure. And he was far ahead of the time also. So while the construction of the superstructure was going on, somewhere his calculation, because he was much ahead of the time, somewhere it has gone wrong. And the last stone that fell on the Shivlinga, it was a huge stone, and it was slightly damaged, and it broke the Yoni Pita of the temple. So if some damages happens in our this one Murti, that is the main this one deity, normally we cannot worship there. But it was such a huge temple, people started worshipping it against the principles of Agamas. And when I reached the site, that was in 2004, I saw it as a huge heap of stones, And then it was a challenge. I thought that I should take up this challenge, and we started conserving it. So there were 3-4 problems were there. One, since the last 1000 years, that is right from the day of construction, since the superstructure was not completed, water was pouring through that one. And now if you are going to take up the conservation, also there was one problem. If you are adding more load, that may again collapse. So one should not take that risk, because earlier itself it had happened because of that one. And then the sides also, water was pouring in. So for the last 1000 years, Shiva was always in the whole monsoon season, the shivling was completely drenched. And now our conservation challenge is a different kind. In Bateshwar, we had that kind of dacoits were there. And then in Mandata, that is Chaubi Saudara, we had to transplant one temple from one place to another place. But here, how will you give a cover, or how will you give that this one, the roof portion, without adding any more weight? That was the greatest challenge before.
Yes,
And
challenge.
how we have solved that problem, that is another interesting story. So I think we will go to our PowerPoint presentations now.
Yes. So while we are getting ready, I'll just speak. So the history, the history of India is very rich, and it has been for thousands of years. So sometimes the time frames do not match the American psyche or what Americans have been told, because much of the history of America is not told. So it is. But in India, the scholars have been keeping records of these historical incidents. So therefore, we can show them. Yes, I think that we can see that. So this
You
is
can
a
see.
yes, please.
Yeah. So
So this is in
I
central India. This is in Madhya Pradesh, in the central India.
it is in central India. Yes, Madhya
Madhya
Pradesh.
Pradesh.
So when my predecessor, when he went to the site, he saw it like this one. And now the task before him, some people had constructed their houses here. And that was the temple Pujari himself, a Mahant. So this house has to be relocated, be demolished from here, and he should be given an alternative land. And he was persuaded, and he was given a proper, this one also, accommodation also somewhere else. So when we remove this house, how would this temple look? This is that huge, this one, Shivalinga. You can see the people, they are up to 6 feet.
Mm.
So it's there. They are sitting at the standing at the lowest portion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is 27 feet. It is going up to this place. This is one stone. This is second stone, and this is the third stone. So how they would have constructed the whole temple? That itself is a very big problem.
Is it
And
one stone or multiple stones?
yes, these are the three stones. Three stones. And this is 20 feet. The height of it is 20 feet. This huge pillar. This is it. This one, this is 20 ton.
Wow.
Each pillar. And there are 4 pillars like this one on 4 sides. Just see, this is how I had seen this one. A huge, only up to this one, the temple portion is there, but otherwise all these places, it was simply a pile of stones. But the construction and reconstruction was not a very big challenge here. The biggest challenge was how to have a roof over this one without giving any additional weight. That was the only challenge. These are not challenges for us. So, and here, on the one side, the pillar is there. But here, since you don't have the pillar here, this portion had become very weak. So there was a fear that it may fall down into this area on the left side. At this portion I am talking. So first of all, we have to have two stones like this one. So I'm going to place one stone here up to this height. Now you just see this entire portion has been redone. And now water is not going to percolate into this one. And similarly, here also we have been able to complete it. So this is fine. And now here I have to have one huge pillar. So here also you can see how the entire thing we have been able to complete, conserve it, and also here. You can see it from the back side also, and just see how we are going to this portion. It is now done like this. The back portion.
Many people were not even aware that King Raja Bhoj was a real person. Some people think that he was just a folklore or a story made up. But based on this, I can also understand he is very real. But I'm sure there will be many people from Madhya Pradesh who will be knowing about it, but we did not know exactly what was the place. So is it district Raisen, Bhojpur, district Raisen in the central?
Yeah, it is district Raisen, Bhojpur. It is 30 kilometers away from Bhopal. The great Bhopal lake was made by him.
Oh.
The great dam was built by him. And about Bhopal, this one lake also, it is said, Tal hai ta Bhopal Tal, baki sab talaiya. If there is a lake, that is the real. If there is a real lake, that is, and all others are small ponds. So that is and his engineering skill. You have to see his dam, how beautifully he has built the dams, and reclaimed a lot of land also for that one. A great personality. So here you can see how it was looking before I took charge, and then how I has done the work. And he has got also a Bhojshala, a great Sanskrit university also he had built. Just think of it, 10,000, in 1,000, building a great university known as Bhojshala. Our Oxford University was built, I think, in 12th century, and Cambridge in 13th century. Strasbourg, perhaps Paris University, was in 11th or 12th century. And this man had built a university of Sanskrit. Of course, it was not for arts and architecture like this one, Oxford and other thing, or even like Nalanda. This man built it in this one in 1000 AD. This Sanskrit university.
Second century.
No, in 1000 AD. No, you are talking about Nalanda?
No, we're talking about this one, Sanskrit, this university.
1000.
So almost like 300 years before anything Western countries could come up with.
Yes. But not compare him with Nalanda University, because Nalanda University was even earlier. 7th century.
That debunks the whole thing that the Western countries created universities where we had already universities way before that.
Yes.
Indians had it.
Yeah. So this is how I had seen it, and then this is how I had conserved it. And this portion I told you, because this was not having that pillar, because of that it was sagging to one side. So what I did is, initially I inserted this one, conserved this portion also, and now you have to have one more huge stones and then have a beam over both this one. So that work I started. It was brought, the stone was cut and brought by the same traditional methodology. We were not using any kind of new methodology, new cutting stones. Only for lifting you had to use this crane. Otherwise, everything traditional technology we used. It was brought to the site. It is kept on the floor now. Now you have to insert it into this portion. There also we were, with much this one under tension, whether that would stand properly or there will be any problem. Anyhow, every precaution was taken. And the last final, just before lifting it, the last final inspection I am doing it. You can just see the ramp behind it, because it was through this kind of ramps they were lifting this kind of huge stones. Normally what happens is in India, once the structure is completed, they used to dismantle the ramp. But here it was not completed. So now the ramp is there. It is the only place in India where you have a ramp even now still existing. In Brihadishwara temple, it was for 3 kilometers. Similarly, in Taj Mahal also, it was 3 kilometers.
3 kilometers of ramp.
Ramp. So that, slowly you have to bring it. Because in this one, it was 200 feet in Brihadishwara.
3 kilometers was the ramp for Taj Mahal when it was made.
Yes, originally. And then this one, Taj Mahal's height is 243. It is, Qutub Minar is lower than 5 feet lower than that of Taj Mahal. It is only, Qutub Minar is only 228, whereas Taj Mahal is 243. And so it was an occasion, great occasion. It was of risk also, so many channels were there. So many questions were there. And finally, we have been able to hoist that also. So the temple now looks like this one.
Beautiful. And since it was already being worshipped, so the worship was never stopped here.
No. The worship was never stopped, because it was, going on without any kind of this one break.
It's a marvel thing. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And the people from Bhopal come here a lot. That's what you said.
Pardon?
People from Bhopal come here to see this place.
Yes. There are people. And every day during the Shivratri, there is a huge function also. And this was my biggest challenge. Because it was while placing this stone that the whole thing fell down on Shivalinga, it damaged the Shivalinga, it broke this one, the Yonibhatta also. So now how to add more this one, more weight on this one? That was my biggest question and biggest challenge also.
And there's an open roof right now because it is already broken.
Yes, it was an open roof, and every year for the last 1,000 years, water was falling on this one. So we have to arrest this. So it has completely damaged the structure, interior structure of this one also. So what I did is I resorted to a new methodology. I said that we are not going to add any more weight on this one, and we'll take the help of the technology, new technology, and with the help of the fiberglass, without adding any more weight. With the help of the fiberglass, we'll make the same kind of ceiling cover for this temple. So it is fiberglass is such a material, you can have any kind of color. You can have any kind of decorative works also. So similar kind of decorative works we made. We got a special, very, very special person for that one. He was a very accomplished artist. And with the help of that, we completely covered. And now not a drop of water falls on the head of Shivlinga.
Mm.
So this was one problem. And then all the four sides also, through the corners, water was pouring into Shivlinga. So how we have done it? So initially, here these are the four sides. This is one side and then this side. Through that also water was pouring. You can see this portion. This, all water was pouring. So this was not a big challenge that we could do it. But this was, so now you can see earlier it was a gaping hole, huge hole. And now we have given this additional protection. If I don't tell you that it is fiberglass, you will not be able to distinguish it.
I cannot. It totally merges and looks like it looks like part of the stone.
Yes, Bilkul, it is exactly. Even now people go there and look at it and then they think it is stone itself.
Yes, stone, and also it looks as if it's the same, little bit broken.
Yes.
And so it's so natural. It just looks
So very
natural.
natural. And just see, I have been able to complete it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. The same kind of decoration. And now the sides also we have to take. Just compare this one.
Yeah.
So then we had to go to the sides. So here also things, water were pouring through this one. So this was not a big challenge. Nothing. So this simply you have to provide beautiful stones on this side. So that was provided. And then how this was looking, just see. And that day, the day I completed it, people celebrated it, the worship. They celebrated the day on that particular day as a special day for Lord Shiva.
Like Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. And now it looks, from the top of it, it looks like this one. You have a panoramic view of the whole thing. Because
Which river is this one? Which is the river? This one?
So there is a Betwa river. It is a
Betwa.
small branch of Betwa river. Small branch of Betwa river. And this was the land, which he had. This one, the huge dam was there, and this dam was going from here up to Bhimbedka. Bhimbedka is near about 10 kilometers away. So it was such a huge lake.
So are they going to put a flag on top of it, this temple, or not necessary?
Pardon?
Usually they put a flag on top of the roof dome.
No, that is certain worship, because I was against it. But sometimes there will be some local sentiments are there. You just have to go by that since it is under worship. Otherwise, I was against it because that takes out the sheen of the whole area. So then what I did is, because there is my trademark work, because I took up the entire area, I acquired their area. There were some people who were living inside. I persuaded them, and I got the Mahant of the temple also.
Oh.
I told him that there is an acute crunch, financial crunch with me with Archaeological Survey of India, and I have carried out the work here, and I just wanted to the whole surroundings area that I had to improve it. I had to provide a very lush green landscape all around it. If you help me, then I can do it at a very shoestring budget. Otherwise, I don't know whether any other person is going to take up this one. So he had become almost a bhakta of me because he never thought that this temple would be like this one. He never, not only he, the whole area people, the whole people around it. Because whenever there was a function, I was one of the guests, special guests for them. And they never thought, they could not imagine also. So he had become a bhakta of me and a devotee of me. And then I told him, requested him to provide this good earth for a beautiful garden all around. And his wife was, since his wife was the Panchayat president also, it was easy for them. So they did Kar Seva. They themselves did a work, and I also joined with them. So we did Kar Seva because we cannot spend anything from government's pocket. And then we laid out a beautiful garden also. We have, first of all, we had to remove the entire this thing.
I think that's a hallmark of your work. You always make things very beautiful around them.
Yes. Now just see.
Beautiful.
Just see the beautiful temple.
Are the people allowed to come on the grass and sit over there?
Oh, yes, I allow them because sometimes people they want to just sit there. Because it is again you feel the vibration of Lord Shiva. You can feel the cosmic dance of Lord Shiva. And he would be, he would be dispelling his halo all around the whole thing. So there is a river on the other side, and here it is a placid area. So people in hundreds, they come, they sit, and they enjoy. And just see the other side of this one. There also have put a very beautiful garden on all the sides. This area was like this one, and just see how I have transformed. It is now like this. So there is a 100-acre area like this one now. Work is still going on. Here you can see that work is still going on.
Beautiful.
It is very beautifully standing. So you had seen, I had seen the temple like this. And now we have been able to transform it like this. And now it is like this.
So a little bit the stone was painted also. So it matches the color.
Yes. It matches everything perfectly, very well. And now during the day of Shivaratri, it's a great, great multitude. People are in lakhs and lakhs going there. That is a scene, to enjoy it and to experience it. So this is my Shiva story of Bhojpur. So I feel that, it was done, it was created during the time of Raja Bhoj. And when I take up any kind of conservation work, I become a kind of supporter for him, a supporter to Raja Bhoj in all his earnest efforts. So that is the thing of Raja Bhoj temple, Bhojpur.
Like this, there'll be so many thousands of monuments in India, like beautiful temples, which need restoration today, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. It needs this kind of conservation, preservation, and then also the area management also, because that becomes very important. For example, for removing these people from that area, because of the whole, as you have seen, there were houses on this one, there were houses on all these sides. And that was a kind of, I mean, a human engineering. You had to have discussion with them, you had to convince them, and still they will not go. And then you'll have to use some kind of government machinery also for removing them, and then give them alternate accommodation. There also you have to go out of the way from the government rules and regulation, so
That's
that
right.
people can rebuild their own life, because you are removing them. So let you give all kinds of support for the people for rebuilding their houses. So that is what I had done, and with the help of all this combination of work, I could accomplish a major work at this site, and now it has become the cynosure of people's eyes.
No, it's so good to see this, the entire preservation of Bhuj Mandir. No, sometimes people forget that how much effort it takes to preserve them. Destroying is easy, but to preserve something is the art of Vishnu. He's the maintainer. He's the topmost maintainer. Vishnu is the topmost. So, do you have more slides to show, or that is the it? And
No, this is all because I completed it. Yeah.
yes. So, thank you, KK Mohammed ji. And I think this one question comes from the audience.
Yeah.
Is that uh, approximately like how much does it take for an average to restore an ancient site like that in India?
No, I couldn't get the question.
How much obviously effort is needed? What she's trying to ask is how much money does
Yeah.
it take to restore a site like that in India?
So this, I mean, you don't need much amount for all this thing. For example, this temple I could do within 30 lakhs of rupees. This temple, within 30 lakhs of rupees, I could complete it. And Bateshwar, I had completed it within this one, 3 crores of rupees. That is 80 temples, 3 crores of rupees. And similarly, that Chaubi Avtar temple, that is 24 Avtar temple, that was only within 15 crores of rupees at that time. I'm talking about some 15 years back. And here also, because if it is with the Archaeological Survey of India, you do things with a very shoestring budget, cost to cost. That's all, because you have other apparatuses there. But the thing is, whether you have that passion, whether you have the will, whether the government is ready to help you, whether the government is ready to support you. Here also, I was running short of funds, so I requested those people, and they came forward. So you will have to employ many methods like this one. It all depends upon your drive, your dynamism, your passion for the subject, your passion for the country. It all depends upon various factors.
True. All depends on many factors. And also, it also depends on the dedication and the vision. I think your work has a vision, devotion, and dedication, all three combined. I think that makes a
See,
bigger impact. Because some people, if you are not have that connection with what you're doing, then you cannot repair or do anything
you
like that.
cannot.
You cannot, because there can be many people who are working on archaeological, but restorations, but you have to have that connection. Then only you can do it. So thank you so much, KK Mohammadji. It's a pleasure to watch you live and see what you've done in Raja Bhoj. Actually, you have ignited my inquiry into studying more about Raja Bhoj with this. And also the one startling discovery or something you told me, I was never aware of it, my ignorance, that Bhopal Lake was made by him and Raja Bhoj.
You see.
And it's a big thing. And I think if you consider a man-made lake, it will probably be the biggest lake of the world.
Yes, yes, yes. Biggest man-made lake of the world. Yes.
So thank you all, and also for American viewers, don't feel that we are trying to belittle your civilization anyway, but you have to definitely give credit to the Indian civilization, which is far more older, and it was technologically advanced, not the way the British put it out. So that ends the special session of Sathology Debunking Mythology. And also, KK Mohammadji, it's always a pleasure to have you. Namaskar.